Here's the uncomfortable truth most people never hear. Printing money doesn't destroy an economy. Printing money wrong does. Because right now, one country prints hundreds of billions of dollars and markets barely flinch. Another prints a fraction of that, and grocery prices double, savings evaporate, and the currency dies in slow motion. Same action, wildly different outcomes. And that contradiction is the story. Imagine two neighbors with credit cards. One swipes freely and lives fine. The other swipes once too many times and everything collapses. From the outside, it looks unfair. From the inside, it's all about trust, timing, and power. And this matters right now, because since 2020, more money has been created globally than in any other period in modern history. Trillions, quietly, digitally, with a few keystrokes. So the real question isn't, can governments print money? It's, why do some get away with it and others don't? Let's start with what money actually is. Not paper, not coins, not even numbers in a bank app. Money is a promise, a shared belief that what you're holding will be accepted tomorrow, next month, next year. That belief is fragile. Once it cracks, it doesn't slowly heal, it snaps. When a government prints money, it's issuing new promises, more claims on the same economy. And here's the first uncomfortable rule. Printing money doesn't create value, it redistributes it. If the economy grows alongside new money, nobody notices. If it doesn't, prices rise, quietly at first, then suddenly. So why doesn't this hit everyone equally? Because not all money lives in the same ecosystem. Take the United States. The US prints dollars, a lot of them. But the dollar isn't just America's currency. It's the world's operating system. Oil is priced in dollars. Global debt is priced in dollars. International trade clears in dollars. Central banks hold dollars as reserves. So when the US prints money, much of that inflation doesn't stay at home. It leaks outward. It's absorbed by global demand. That's not luck, that's position. It's like owning the main highway everyone else must drive on. You can raise tolls and people complain, but they still pay. Now contrast that with a smaller country. Their currency is used locally. Their debt is often in foreign currency. Their imports are priced in dollars or euros. When they print money, it stays trapped inside their borders. Prices rise immediately. Imports become expensive overnight. Confidence drops. Capital flees. And once people stop trusting the currency, they rush to escape it. That's when collapse accelerates. This brings us to the second rule no one likes to say out loud. Inflation is as much psychological as it is mathematical. If people believe prices will rise, they behave in ways that make prices rise. They spend faster, they hoard goods, they dump cash. Money velocity increases. The same bills change hands faster. Inflation feeds itself. In countries with strong institutions, people assume the system will self-correct. In fragile systems, people assume the opposite, and assumptions become reality. But there's a deeper layer here, one that's rarely explained clearly. Debt. Governments don't just print money randomly. They usually do it to finance deficits, to cover spending they can't fund through taxes. Debt isn't inherently bad, in fact it's essential. But the question is, who owns that debt? The US borrows mostly in its own currency, from its own citizens, from institutions that need dollars. If inflation rises, the real value of that debt falls, quietly, politically painless. It's a soft default disguised as policy. But many developing countries borrow in foreign currency, dollars, euros, yen. They can't print those. So when inflation hits and their currency weakens, debt payments become heavier, not lighter. Servicing debt consumes more of the budget. Investors panic. Interest rates spike. And suddenly, printing money makes the problem worse instead of easier. That's how countries fall into what economists politely call a debt spiral. Now let's add the final piece most people miss. Credibility. When a central bank in a trusted country says, inflation is temporary, markets may grumble, but they listen. When a central bank with a history of failure says the same thing, markets laugh. Credibility isn't built with words, it's built with decades of boring discipline, independent institutions, predictable policy, painful decisions when needed. Once credibility is gone, no amount of printing can save you, because the market stops believing the promise behind the money. This is why hyperinflation stories feel similar. It's never just too much money. It's political pressure, short-term thinking, loss of trust, and a tipping point where everyone tries to exit at once. And here's the irony. Most governments that collapsed didn't start reckless. They started trapped, locked into promises they couldn't afford. Social programs, subsidies, debt obligations. Printing money felt like relief, until it wasn't. Meanwhile, countries that can print safely aren't immune. They're just slower to feel the consequences. Inflation still erodes savings. It still redistributes wealth upward. It still punishes people on fixed incomes. The damage just happens quietly. Which brings us to the part no one likes to admit. There is no free money. Only delayed costs and unequal ones. Printing money is not magic, it's power. Power backed by trust, scale, and global dependence. Take those away and the same action becomes fatal. So the next time you hear someone say, "Why can't we just print more money like they do?" remember this. Some countries aren't printing money. They're exporting inflation. They're taxing trust. They're spending credibility built over generations. And even that has limits. Because history shows one thing very clearly. No currency collapses because people hate it. It collapses the moment people stop believing in it. And the real question is no longer who can print money safely. It's how long the rest of the world keeps accepting the promise behind it.